Hello, my name is Heather and welcome to the channel Bookables. Today I'm going to be talking about some delicious reads, and what I mean about that are books pretty much about food. You know those books, whether it be set in a bakery, a coffee shop, have a really strong food element? Those are the books I'm talking about today. I did a video like this 3 years ago where I didn't have that strong of a list, but now boy, oh boy, let me tell you, I got a lot of books to talk about. So let's get into it. If you're looking for books that'll make you hungry, that have recipes in them, that are just kind of all about food, these books are the books for you. First up, we have a historical read, and that is The Kitchen Front by Jennifer Ryan. What really drew to me this book was the cover, the gingham and everything like that. So this book takes place in World War II, in Britain more specifically, and it follows a plethora of women that are having to learn how to cook with their rations, because in World War II, everything was rationed. Coffee, fruit, things like that. Like, it was very, very sparse with foods. And so women had to really get creative. They had to have victory gardens, that's what they called them. And basically in this book, there's this competition for a BBC radio program called The Kitchen Front, and is holding a cooking contest. And the grand prize is the job as the program's first ever female co-host. And so for this competition, these women have to cook like 3 different meals with said rations, and whoever wins, you know, gets the job. And so, like I said, it's about all these women that have to learn how to survive with kind of within their means, without, you know, with learning how to cook with rations. And it was rough. And it's a beautiful book about sisterhood, and definitely about the realness of World War II, but also about how, you know, the things that don't get talked a lot about with rations, and how women had to provide for their family and their many kids and things like that, and how they did it. So this is a great one to read, highly recommended, fun sisterhood food vibes for sure. Of course, I have to talk about The Bake Shop of Pumpkin and Spice by Donna Kaufman, Kay Engel, and Allison Charles. This is in fact a series. There's another book called This Corner of Pumpkin and Vine, I believe. They all take place in this small town called Moonbright, Maine. And a lot of, like, this town is known for this bakery, for all their food and things like that. There's short stories in each of these books. I think they have 3 short stories, and basically they have such a strong food element. One short story could be centered around the bakery. The next short story, they could be opening up a tea shop. The next short story, they could be really visiting a restaurant. Either way, it's got that small town, delicious kind of vibe that I am here for. Obviously, this screams fall, so if you want to read it, now is the time to do so. We have a romance novel called Kiss My Cupcake by Helena Hunting, one of my favorite underrated romance novels, and one that is about cupcakes. So in this book, we follow a character named Blair, who is finally opening up her own like cupcake and booze shop. That's right, I said it. So basically her shop is, she has amazing cupcakes that she makes from scratch, but also kind of has a bar element to it. The cupcakes and the kind of cocktails and things go with it. And she's been saving forever to open this shop up, but she's very excited about it. But then she has a new neighbor named Ronan, who's opening up kind of like a managed bar with like lots of plaid and like hatchet thrones and things like that, and they're both kind of competing to get bigger sales for opening day, and they kind of have a hate to love romance that gets steamy, and it's just fun. It is a fun book. Each chapter starts with like a different cupcake recipe and what she does, and just Blair's dreams for her cupcake shop, how she really puts her heart and soul into it, is really great. This one is, I would say, mainly romance, but has a really good, strong, like kind of bakery cupcake vibe that I would recommend if you want, you know, a lot of romance with a dash of baking in it. Likewise with A Sweet Mess by J.C. Lee. This one follows a character named Aubrey, who has been running a successful bakery for years. And then basically she accidentally sleeps with a food critic that does not do well with her store. She doesn't know he's the food critic, but basically his review of her bakery gets her pretty much not shut down, but business is not booming business is not booming, as they say. And so he feels really bad about it. He's like, you know what? I feel bad about this because we hooked up, it kind of ruined your business. You know, things aren't going that great. And so basically, he offers her a spot on a new celebrity cooking show he's producing. And so she has to go to this house and bake things. things and things like that. This is kind of like the last one where it's mostly romance with a hint of kind of bakery and cooking, things like that. Nevertheless, it is a sweet romance at that. For all my graphic novel lovers out there, Relish by Lucy Kinsley is amazing. I've read this one years ago and always recommend it. So Lucy Kinsley is a author that is not a chef, but both her parents are chefs. So she grew up in the culinary world. So Relish is all about her experience with the food she's eaten, the things her parents have taught her with food and things like that. And so it's literally all about that. Like she has, I think, a whole chapter on bread, which, you know, she has Jover's Rancheros. Hopefully I did not pronounce that right. I know I didn't. But you know, it's just a fun one. It's very visually pleasing. It teaches you a lot about food. I mean, this croissant, I want this croissant right now. But it's just fun seeing how she kind of grew up in that culinary world and how it shaped her love and opinion on food today. So it's a fun one. She's written several other graphic novels, but this one by far is my favorite of hers. I have two more romance type of books, and then I have some YA ones. So we have Fake It Till You Bake It by Jamie Wesley. Again, this is set in a bakery, but surprise, surprise, the woman is not running it, the man is. So this one has a character named Wesley who is a professional football player. He's like a linebacker. He's strong. He's, you know, he's big and burly and all that stuff, but man, he loves cupcakes so much so that he's like, I'm going to open up a bakery. And so he does that. And his bakery is not doing that well. Then we have a character named Jada who was on a reality dating show, aka The Bachelor, gets all the way to the end, gets proposed to, and she's like, this is not right. And so she is hated. She is hated for turning that proposal because that's how it is with reality dating shows. I don't get them. I never will. So basically, she gets a job at Wesley's bakery and she's like, you know what? I'm going to help you bring in business. This will help also boost my image. And so they kind of have a hate to love relationship there. This is just a fun one. It's a fun one because the guy loves baking and he has a bakery, and it's like people that you would least expect to have a bakery, like a big football guy having a bakery, but it is so fun and so romantic and so sweet. Then the last romance I have is Simmer Down by Sarah Smith. This one is set in Maui, and we follow a character named Nikki, who is a really great chef. She was living in Washington, and then her father passes away. And so she moves back down to Maui to help her mom, because her mom and dad's dream was always to have a food truck in Maui, and they did just that. And then her dad passed away. So she decides, hey, I'm gonna go help my mom because she needs that. And so she works on this food truck with her mom, and they make this delicious Filipino cuisine. And basically she gets a chance to be in this food festival, maybe win it. And there's also this rival food truck that's a British guy, and they obviously have a connection. It's a hate connection, but this one is definitely like, if you love food trucks and like the Great American Food Truck Race, this is a perfect one to read. It definitely really teaches you all about the ins and outs with food trucks, with parking them, and logistics about cooking in them and teaming up and all of those fun things. It's a fun one for sure. Definitely read in the summer because it's set in Maui, so there's a lot of like great atmosphere when it comes to weather and things like that. The last three books I'm going to talk about today are some YA books that I just really love. The first one being a Cuban Girl's Guide to Tea and Tomorrow by Laura Taylor Namey. So this book, we follow a character named Laya, and she lives in Miami, and she loves her family. Her family has a restaurant, and then basically a lot of bad things happen to her at once. Her abuela dies, and then her boyfriend breaks up with her, and so she is heartbroken. So her mom's like, you know what? I'm going to send you to England to where my sister is. She has this big castle with bed and breakfast. You know, go there, try to reset yourself. And Laya's like, you know, I don't want to do this. But she goes there and she starts learning the ins and outs with English cooking. She also brings some Miami like flavor and spice and kind of Mexican cuisine into the British atmosphere, which is really fun. And then she also meets Orion, who is like a tea guy. His dad owns a tea shop, and she's not into tea, which I get as well because I don't like tea. But either way, it's just a very like warm, friendly book all about like cuisine and learning things about yourself and making friends. And I just love it. For sure, one of my favorite YA books of all time. And we have a short story collection, Hungry Hearts. This one has a whole bunch of authors in it, and it's all set in this place called Hungry Hearts Row, which even have a map at the beginning of the book. And so each short story kind of takes place near it. Some take place in restaurants, some take place with people that are visiting the restaurants, with people that are hoping to be chefs. They're just really fun ones. I don't love a lot of short stories, but this one is for sure one of my favorites, probably because of the very food element to it. There's like one about a faux restaurant. It's just very warm and loving and very family kind of inspired because it all takes place like on this Hungry Hearts row. So if you want a short story collection, look no further than this one. And the last book I want to recommend is With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. So this book, we follow a character named Imani, teenage mother that is single, and she wants to be a chef. Having to deal with being a teenage mother, trying to go to high school, also trying to get her dream job of being a chef. And she gets opportunities to go to this culinary school, and she has to kind of balance it all. And it's a book about adversity with her. The odds are stacked against you when you're a young mother, especially like especially a teenage mother at that. And she has to rely on her abuela a lot. She has to rely on her grandmother a lot to help her with her daughter. And she also has to like really push for her dreams and her goals because she is a mom and she has to balance everything. And being a mother is tough, like good gracious. So this book is just full of heart because Imani is an amazing character, an amazing mom, and she really works hard for what she wants in life. And it really shows in this book. All of this author's books are amazing, but this one in particular with the whole food element and with her dreams is just astounding. So there you have some delicious reads, books that are set in bakeries, books with aspiring chefs. You get the drill. Books that are just gonna make your mouth water and make you want all of the things they're talking about in said books. So I would love to know if you have any delicious reads. Please leave them down below. I'm always looking for more because it's like a subgenre that I will always love and always look for some more amazing ones. But as always, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.